Hello, it's Reviews Day Tuesday, and it is the first Tuesday of the month, which means it's time for a new episode of Discworld Discourses. Today I'm going to be talking about The Light Fantastic, the second book in the Discworld series by Terry Pratchett, and the sequel to The Colour of Magic, which I reviewed on this channel 3 weeks ago. The book was published in 1986, and we return to Rincewind the Wizard, his tourist friend Twoflower, and the luggage. The Discworld is facing imminent destruction by a huge red star, unless all 8 spells in the Octavo, the most powerful magical text on the disc currently held at Unseen University, are said together, but one of those spells is currently hiding in Rincewind's head. I've only ever read this book with The Colour of Magic, so they do sort of merge together in my head a bit, but overall I do prefer this book, The Light Fantastic, to the first. I found the story simpler, it has more structure, it feels like there's more of an end game, a goal that the characters are moving towards. There's an element of randomness to the first book, you know, Rincewind and Twoflower being controlled by the gods in a game, which makes it more difficult for me to latch onto the plot, whereas that wasn't an element of this book. They're more in charge of their own actions. And partly because of this, I found the characters and the locations to be less overwhelming as well. There was less of a deluge of new stuff. We visit Unseen University in this book, which I love. I enjoy all of the university stuff, the power struggles, the old men trying to get older, the librarian. We get to visit Death's Domain, which is a really fun little interlude, and I like all the stuff with the trolls. I love the idea of the trolls. And also Cohen the Barbarian. I love the idea of a legendary hero who's got old. I think there are a lot of wonderful ideas in this book, and I think it's a better taste of what the rest of the Discworld series has to offer. But still a taste. It hasn't yet become the juggernaut, the expansive, exciting, layered universe that the Discworld will become. But I saw more of it in The Light Fantastic to The Colour of Magic. As I said in my Colour of Magic review, that book has improved to me the more I have read it. I'd say the same is true in The Light Fantastic, but to a lesser extent. It is very fun to see how future stories and future characters started off. I'm trying not to delve too much into spoiler territory here, but things like how the librarian became an orangutan. Things that will be relevant later, or will be added to, or that just become part of the fabric of the Discworld universe. So I found this book more rewarding to read later on. So if you have decided that you don't want to read the books consecutively in publication order, then I think that this book is a really good example of being perhaps even more enjoyable if read that way. But I'd be very interested in knowing what other people think of this. Whether you read The Light Fantastic early in the series, or whether you read it later, or whether like me you've read it both consecutively and out of order, would you agree with me that this book in particular is perhaps better read, more enjoyable perhaps when read out of order? Or they're definitely after reading The Colour of Magic, because, fun fact, this book is the only book in the Discworld series that is a sequel. Speaking of fun facts, it is trivia time, although not as much trivia as there could be, because a lot of the trivia for this book is also trivia for The Colour of Magic, so I've already talked about it in the last video. For instance, that there was a Sky adaptation in 2008, which starred David Jason and Sean Astin. But what other trivia is there about this book specifically? This is the first Discworld book to be in the format which comes to be the standard for the series, as in no chapters and no sections. The title is taken from a poem by John Milton called L'Allegro. The US paperback edition features a mistake on the cover, referring to Cohen the Barbarian as Conan. This book features the first appearance of Cohen the Barbarian, Chrysoprase, as I mentioned earlier, the Librarian, Isabel, War, Famine and Pestilence, and it is also the first appearance of the Unseen University in Ankh-Morpork. So, what book should you consider reading if you enjoyed The Light Fantastic? I mean, the next book in the series, Equal Rights, is a fair bet, and if you want to stick with Rincewind, then his next book is Sorcery. You could also maybe try Interesting Times, which is a book with many of the characters from The Colour of Magic and The Light Fantastic. If you didn't enjoy The Colour of Magic, then all of my suggestions from the previous review will still hold here, but in the comments of that video there were some other suggestions which I definitely want to mention. One of them is Guards, which I really love, it's a great book, but the most popular suggestion as the best way to start the series was Mort. So I definitely recommend that as a good place to go if you didn't get on too well with The Colour of Magic and The Light Fantastic, and also a very good place to start the series as a whole. So thank you to everybody who commented in that video, and feel free to add more suggestions in the comments below and I may mention them in a later video. I will give The Light Fantastic by Terry Pratchett 4 out of 5. That's it for my thoughts on The Light Fantastic. I would really love to know what you think of this book, and also do you have any suggestions on things you would like me to include in Discworld Discourses in the future? My next video in Discworld Discourses will be of Book 3, Equal Rights, and that will be in 2 weeks week's time on February the 19th. And if you'd like to see the full Discworld Discourses schedule, then I will link to it in the description below. Let's move across to the end screen. If you would like to see some more Discworld Discourses or my latest video, then you can do so below me here. And you can also subscribe to my channel or visit my website if you should wish to, beside me here. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you later on in the week.